Black Widow of the Deadly Origin is one of my favourite champions to use in Thronebreaker and previously Cavalier Difficulty, and here is why. Most of the time in the difficulty, Thronebreaker, whatever it is, difficulty on a monthly basis, you'll get Skillful Distraction, Punishment Glutton. You get a lot of these kind of like, if you are quick to a debuff, damaging debuff, you'll be able to get a Fury passive, or not really like that, but you put a debuff on the enemy, damaging debuff, it equals either where it expires, you get a Fury passive, or in this case, that if you access either a shock or an incinerate effect, or have, an evade based counter, you'll be quick to access passive Fury. Now, I'm not saying that this is the go-to champion. There's obviously many different strokes for different folks. But what I like about Black Widow Deadly Origin is it's quick to access, she's quick to access, her shock debuffs. They happen just by performing some basic attacks. And you'll find yourself being able to counter that evade, which means she accesses Fury passives quickly, which also means she does more damage quickly, and when she throws her special attacks, you'll find that she's incredibly effective. There's tons of synergies to pair her up with. I personally like using the Falcon synergy, but due to the fact that we have 7 stars in game right now, I've gone away from that, and that's just because I find like the extra slot of a champion. I put in Mole Man just because he's helpful and effective in these particular circumstances. Whether or not for all this pinging up Mixed Master means that I'm more inclined to go, do you know what, let's have an evade based counter for this with true accuracy, and as well the fact the champion gets an SP1 shock, so it works equally as well. But anyway, enough talk, let's have a look at some footage. So let's go. What am I talking about with the effectiveness for Black Widow Deadly Origin? Well, how's about this? You can see on the screen, quick to access that evade failed. Now I do currently pair her up with the Black Panther relic, and the reason for that is just getting physical vulnerability. It's probably something in the future I'm going to take away, but I do like the relic. I think a lot of the time when I'm pairing up relics, this is mainly for battlegrounds, and when we've got something where I want to keep my rotations and combos higher, then I will go for that. But it does help with the extent of damage you do when you're performing special attacks to have that relic in activation, and at least getting that physical vulnerability up is helpful. I'm sure in the future I will change the champions that I use with the relics and the relics with the champions, but still, when you're doing great amounts of damage, then of course it's going to be the way to go. So the great thing about this particular Skillful Distraction is that the champion, the enemy defender, has Mixed Master. Having Mixed Master basically means that the champion, if you perform the same basic attack twice in a row, that they are going to evade. Now, I did get clipped there. It's always terrible when that happens. Dropped input, always not very nice, but it happens in the game. But apart from that, it's a lot of fun. Now, I get a little bit unlucky there with no crit, and that kind of like damage just didn't really come off, but these things happen. I always like throwing in from time to time an SP1, because what that does is it does mean that you'll get the shock on longer. When it comes to this particular node, having the shock on longer means that it helps out for longer periods of time to suppress the evade. It does exactly what it says on the tin, and that's why I do like Black Widow Deadly Origin, especially when she's got a decent amount of damage output. But sometimes the AI is not so helpful to the cause, but hey, with all else fails, just a nice placed SP1, ticking down the damage, 1%, and done. We love it. When it comes to Venom as well, like that is again like a champion to kind of like, I've always got to watch out about Venom. I'm always very annoyed with an SP2 push, and I'm more like an SP1 kind of a guy. Luckily, in this particular footage, we get all SP1s, and that's, thank the MCOC lords for that, because I don't like SP2s. I've had a lot of times where I felt like the champions are holding on to their special attacks a little bit longer than normal, and which happens from time to time. Get a nice little SP1. Sometimes I don't like throwing the SP1, but it's just having that prolonged shock on that just helps out the situation, because it's nice to then go into just being kind of cautious and then throw a relic, build up to an SP2, do that. Didn't really need to do that, but it is what it is. Now, when it comes to like situations of Black Panther, then you've got to work fast. You've got to work quickly. Hopefully the champion doesn't intercept you, because if Black Panther intercepts you, then he would be able to purify that shock. Not very helpful with the situation. Not very helpful if a champion was shock immune in a particular event and node where you require it. Look, as I said, there are tons of other options available. I actually don't rate for this the likes of Massacre. Not a massive fan of Shang-Chi. In theory, he would work for this, but I just don't really like the rotation. I love the rotation for Black Widow Deadly Origin, as well as Mole Man, basically because of their access to certain things. Mole Man's access to true accuracy, and Black Widow Deadly Origin's access to the likes of Shock, which again suppresses. Nice SP2 right now. Ooh, look at that. Sadly, it does leave the champion on 3%, as you know, these things do happen. But look, there's others. Falcon's a great option for this. Nick Fury, but I would say that the reason I'm not ranking up a Falcon just yet. I will probably at some stage, a 6-star. And the only things I've got is a Nick Fury 5-star and a Falcon 5-star. 6-star's not fully ranked up. So it's the damage through the block, the chip damage, which can be quite annoying. This is why I've switched from my 5-star Black Widow Deadly Origin to my 6-star. And it just makes perfect sense. I built this champion up for Battlegrounds, and so far, so good. So yeah, just trying to get into... the problem is as well, I don't know if you saw right there, it's getting that shock consistently on. If you miss out an opportunity, if that shock doesn't apply, and it has had times where it hasn't applied, it can be literally damning. You're going to go down. Like, it's damning. It's really bad. But look, we're keeping strong. We're working hard. We're going to get that SP1 in a second. And then it's going to be job done. Counter right there with an SP1. Nice. But what of more trickier champions? Now, that's going to be the likes of... you can see right there. That's a good kind of like showcase there. When things don't go right. And it didn't go right there for my Black Widow Deadly Origin because the shock didn't go on. And if shock doesn't go on, what's the champion going to do? That's right, evade. Can be quite annoying. At times like this, I would love to have my Falcon synergy with it, but it's something I need to consider at a later date. Falcon with it means that that cruelty buff is going to allow for a stacking of a nice amount of extra damage and extra crits, and it's going to be extra tasty. Definitely was when I played with in Cavalier difficulty back in the day, but now we've got Thronebreaker, so we need to be more like this. Boom, 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 and bang, job is done. Then it comes into a very class advantage situation. Got to be very careful when it comes to Spider-Ham because he does go unblockable. He does have those porker poppers, and throwing a special attack can be a little bit of a frustration from time to time. But a little bit of an aggression here or there is always very helpful. Good bit of intercepting always goes a treat, especially when you kind of get a huge amount of shock damage. And maybe as well when you don't have a porker popper on that, and with, well, some Fury passives, not as much as you'd like, a big SP2 like here, chaining into it, is always nice. Leaving us just nicely with an Overseer fight. Overseer is a bit of a tricky one, especially with having that auto block, and a lot of the time I will try to just chill out with the fight. If I'm bringing in, I would have liked to have brought in the likes of Falcon for this, but as I said, I'm not taking a 5-star against a 7-star. Nah, not going to do that. It's pretty tricky, to be honest. And it's just the chip damage. You have to be on your A game to intercept, and obviously that time when you're trying to get into your locked on, that's a problem. Because of, you know, if you're locked on and you get in, not intercepted, but you get hit into your block, you'll find that like a good 25% of your health may be gone. And maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but it's still a lot of damage, a lot of chip damage through the block. That's just not too nice. But Overseer with a class advantage, and boom! It's beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, I just wanted to do a little video, show why I do like Black Widow Deadly Origin in this month's 3.2 Thronebreaker quest. Do highly recommend. Yes, there are other options. What are the options? Put it in the comments section. Share your thoughts. Do you have a better option than Black Widow Deadly Origin? Put it in the comment section. It'd be interesting to hear from you. Thanks, everybody. Check out some other content located on screen. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Bye-bye for now.